Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. So this morning, it shows 7 hours ago, we did this one. It was called Survival of the Wisest. Yeah, the control system and a certain topic that's on the minds of probably most people, whether they believe it or not. Everything that's going on the planet has been going on for a very long time, whether we are aware of it fully or not. And really, the deeper you go, the more you realize it just seems as though everything is a little bit more intense right now. It goes through these cycles. There's these regular cycles that come up where the world turns into chaos and it calms down a little bit, but there's still things going on behind the scenes that most people don't see. Now, we're at a peak of a cycle in which we're going into an era that things really are going to change. They are going to change, and we have to make the decisions on whether we're going to change in a positive direction or do we want to stay inside of this insane system.
We have decisions to make.
Absolutely. So when you go over to Patreon, you will see like a video like this. It says Survival of the Wisest, etc. Join to unlock. There are other videos up there that you can go ahead and watch on your own as well. These exclusive ones we put up about every 3 days, I would say. 2-3 times a week we put up the exclusives where you could just talk a lot more openly about all the things that are going on and make it a little bit plainer, which is always fun. Meanwhile, here you have 27 EU member states agreed on military action in the Red Sea. European Union states have reached an agreement in principle to launch a military operation to secure merchant shipping in the Red Sea, so says an EU top diplomat. This comes at a time where last night, I'm not sure if Cindy even remembers because she was channeling. And if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, one of the things that is different about us is the fact that we channel. And so we channel a variety of different sources, but we have our tight-knit group of guides, which includes members of the Galactic Federation, as well as the Pleiadian High Council, along with others that have been guiding us, coaching us this whole time. So, we do tend to give different perspectives, and I'm happy to see that there are more and more sources out there that are quote-unquote channeled that are feeling more authentic and not like they're just a CIA or FBI psyop, as I'm sure there are those out there, as there are in Russia and China and everywhere. All the nations of the world, again, even though they outwardly battle in war at the very top echelon, they are working together.
Indeed.
So what I was sharing was Cindy had a vision in which she saw us in a store, like we were grocery shopping or something, and somebody said, "Did you hear? We are at war. We're officially at war."
That one bothered me. Sometimes I get them and they're just so out there. Even if Mike might be asleep, I have to start talking and telling him what's coming, because there's been enough times where the information comes through. If I don't say something, of course, something happens. And to me, I'm getting this information for a purpose. But yeah, we were in the vision, we were in the grocery store, and there was a gentleman who came in, and he was quite frantic, and he was saying, "We are at war, we are at war." So there was some huge, probably BRICS, NATO type of energies, very large energies that were obviously at war. So that's what he said.
Yeah, other than, what we had with, this escalation that we're going to be talking about in Yemen and Israel and Ukraine, this was something bigger.
Somebody was hit, like either us in the U.S. or maybe over Russia. Somebody huge had a huge hit, and this is what the guy was referring to because it hit the media quite quickly, and people were talking about it just out on the street. It's not that there was bombs right there right away, but people were kind of they were a little concerned, They were a little concerned, thinking, oh, shoot, what do I do now? Not concerned enough to drop everything and run home, but just definitely thinking, okay, I need to find out what's going on for my family and what do I need to do next.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we can see, things are definitely escalating. There have been 150 attacks. There's been more than that, actually, on U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria. Is the U.S. response working? And here you have Kirby saying, yes, absolutely, it's working. Yeah, well, what is the real intent? Is the intent to draw us into a World War III? And so everything could be wiped down to the point where they could do their complete slate cleaning and start over? Is it working? Yeah, it's working. U.S. defense officials say more large-scale strikes conducted against the Houthi forces over in Yemen. UK has joined in with U.S. forces on these strikes again in the middle of the night. Now, there are multiple posts claiming it from Yemen. As you see, this is the National Team for Foreign Outreach, Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Yemen, showing this, which is the picture of the Ocean Jazz, which is based from New Orleans. And you see it just jam-packed with tanks, etc. There's claims that it was struck and hit, and that, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of military equipment were sunk. This Ocean Jazz has been used to move military equipment. Absolutely. As you see, this was used in Exercise Talisman Sabre in 2017. In fact, there are exercises that were going on for 2 weeks that are just wrapped up now. So, could it have been sunk? As you see, the Iranian-backed Houthi terrorist report of an alleged successful attack is patently false. Now, this is U.S. Naval Forces Central Command, U.S. Fifth Fleet. They've maintained constant communications with the Ocean Jazz through its safe traffic. Then we read over here that Israel's CalCast list reports that the Israeli Ministry of National Security revealed that 4,544 soldiers have been wounded in Gaza, which contradicts numbers published by the Israeli army, which claim that the number is only 2,672. So it's actually double what they were claiming. Again, the one thing you can't believe in war is anything that the governments tell you, and that includes the war on the citizens themselves. In fact, let's just say you can't believe anything any government tells you. That kind of would cover the base.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would not be a wise thing to trust your government right now.
Yeah, isn't that sad? Here we are. We were brought up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I think the 90s we started to get really cynical in some ways, but now I think a lot of people have woke up and they know governments are not for the people, by the people, and of the people. Governments are for themselves. All of them. That's the bottom line. Israeli attacks and street battles rage across the Gaza Strip. As they say, they passed 25,000 lives lost in Gaza. I would venture to guess it's 10 times that. I can't imagine it not being. With the level of destruction we have seen, 2 million people, and disease and starvation being issues as well now. We don't cover every little thing because it's just so brutal. This is a horrible thing. It's just, in my mind, of course, it's indefensible. And when you understand that these wars are really all about control and profit, the whole thing is absolutely demonic, which is the nature of the government system on this planet. And what happens when you have people waking up inside of the government that realize it's all been a campaign of lies constantly? Well, we're hoping that those that, again, have their fingers on triggers will refuse to pull the trigger, because, again, what happens? You just have innocent people losing their lives. And this war is going to be different, as you can see from this. The UK tests a laser weapon against air targets. We've seen Israeli lasers, US lasers, UK lasers. It's going to be a different type of war. And then you have dozens of Israelis blocking the entrance to Parliament building and demanding immediate elections. This is where the world is heading. And this is where things have a chance to really, really change. It's when people in droves tell the government that they no longer have a right to be there. In fact, they never did. All these governments get into their positions through legalized bribery in the U.S. Again, it's called lobbying, but that's legalized bribery. But it's totally legal, because again, when you see that 2/3 of Congress is taking money from big FARMA, it doesn't take much to understand what's really going on here. People are giving in to the temptations of this world, which is, again, obviously wealth, and others crave power, others crave fame. It truly is. They've given into Satan in a way. They've given into the little guy with the pitchfork on the one shoulder. You really need a bigger house. 6,000 square feet won't do. You need bigger. Your neighbor's is bigger. Yeah, absolutely. So these politicians got to outdo it. I got to be the senator. I got to be the president. I got to be whatever. They want to be in the history books. And what do? They literally sell their souls to the devil, so to speak, again. It really is what you do, because what you're doing is creating this negative karmic cycle that will bite you for lifetimes. And, again, you see time and time again, we're at the very end. Some of these people, they might speak up a little. Prince spoke up a little. Joan Rivers spoke up a little. Just a little. David Bowie did a video that is as dark as anything. I still want to do a video on that video. And it's just all exposing the darkness of the system that we're in. And when they're at a certain point in their life and they can't stand the fact that they did what they did in order to buy into the system and have the fame and the fortune. And then the regrets, because they know they've damaged their soul. They literally have damaged their soul.
We have choices that we can make right now. And I know a lot of people who are on the light worker side of things, it is getting more and more difficult to try to live a normal life in the mainstream because of all the food changes that have been going on, all the additives, and not to mention, our diets have to change, because as you go through ascension, it's like your body is not going to tolerate certain things any longer. So it does get difficult. But keep going, because this is your choice. This is your decision to be sure you're not just going to go down the stream with everyone else. We have options right now, and Mike and I use them. It does make for a lot of difficulties. It does make for a lot of hang-ups, but we'd much rather have our bodies free and live this way than try to conform to the system. I think either he or I, we would go absolutely nuts if we had to do, a job where we're being told what to do and do something for the system. It would just really be like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, it just wouldn't be possible at this point in time. So you have 53% of respondents thinking that Netanyahu's just doing this for himself. 1/3 say he's doing what's best for Israel. When you end up having these type of numbers and the people are waking up to, there's no way you can justify these things. This is where, there can be some real change, and the system understands that. And even though, WW3 is upon us, that doesn't mean it's the end of any conflict situation on the planet, because really the bigger thing is the internal revolutions as people wake up and just will not go along with the system. And what they are banking on is, basically bringing in that control system that you see over in China and like that, where they just tell you and you just meekly obey. And no, people are not going to go along with it. There's, again, going to be internal struggles going on. Explosion in Iran, where Iran Space Center is located. And here we have yet again, you could see the writing is on the wall. Putin is expressing concern for Russian speakers in the Baltics. The Baltics will quickly fall to Russia when this gets going. Again, if I had to give a timeline, I still kind of expect April. And the guides, again, back in December of, it was December of 2022, told us 18 months, 1.5 years from then, which will equate to the early June, perhaps even the end of May. What looked to be volcanic activity in the Pacific Northwest and fighting going on in the U.S. Of a large military scale that made us get the impression that it was China, Russia, and others invading the U.S. itself.
Just we're really keeping an eye on any time after April for that eclipse, because it does seem to bring with it, when we have big planetary movements, it does seem to bring an increase in the chaos of that nature.
Yeah, and don't forget the comet coming from Draco with the devil's horns.
Yes.
Of course, you can't make this up. So, yes, they will take back Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, and they're planning on taking back Alaska. This is not the first time this has come out. You see this tweet: Putin has signed a decree making the sale of Alaska to the U.S. illegal. So the territory is to be declared occupied. And, laugh it off as you may. Yeah, they will take Alaska back. And they will take a chunk of the U.S. and China will take another chunk. This is what's been planned. Again, when Cindy saw the map, she saw it split into 5 zones. And I don't believe anything has changed in that. She hasn't gotten any new info on that. Five different zones. And I would expect California, Washington, Oregon under China control, perhaps Hawaii under China control, or Hawaii and Alaska might go to Russia. I'm not sure how they're going to work that. And we go into details, too, in today's video on Patreon, exactly how the U.S. has been put in a position where they really can't win. And same thing with NATO. There's reasons for that. Nearly 5,000 Brits froze to death last year due to heating costs. It's just crazy because, again, the billionaires are getting richer, and there is no middle class anymore. It's either, that upper echelon where that's doing just fine, in fact, doing better than ever. In fact, I saw an article that was talking about the first trillionaire will be here before you know it, and the fact that there's going to be just this super elitist class and just slaves, and that's exactly what they have been telling us. This is yet another. There's like 3 times he said this. He's made these comments. He was mentioning F-15s, now F-16s.
And I love people who say the blood of liberty. The tree of liberty is watered with the blood of patriots. Well, guess what, man? I didn't see a whole lot of patriots that are out there walking around making sure that we have these weapons. Well, and if you really want to worry about the government, you need an F-16. And I love people.
So again, as they say, so he's planning on using F-16s. Yeah, they would. Of course, this is a government of, it's constructed by the elites for the elites. Any doubt here, the Supreme Court has ruled that the Biden administration can resume removal of razor wire installed by the state of Texas along the border near Eagle Pass, at least while litigation is ongoing. Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh all dissented. Roberts and Barrett sided with the left-leaning justices to rule in Biden administration's favor and allow Border Patrol to remove the razor wire. Now, expect Texas to not go along with that and expect to see if there's the first shots of some sort of internal conflict going on. This is, again, what we have going on right now. And they want this... They want this to fall apart before the strike on the U.S. It's one of the key things. We need to be fighting ourselves to a higher degree before. It just makes things a lot easier for them.
Oh, I know. I mean, this is just a huge mess right here. It's like they just created a tangled mess, but that's what they do. But in so many ways, I mean, you do have to protect people. It's like, I think they're going in the right direction, but there's never any real white hats that are, they're still in it for themselves.
The only way you could ever get white hats is break it down small enough. You have to really break it down smaller. You can't have any of this power structure that's in place right now still in power. That's just the bottom line. I think what you will have is what we've seen in looking forward into the future through remote viewing and channeling, is that you're going to have the current system that is a global system being isolated into the cell cities, the smart cities. And those are going to be packed with people that live, the lives you can imagine. And then outside of those are going to be people living a lot more tribal. I mean, maybe even in yurts like this when you get down to it. And this is over in Kyrgyzstan, China border area. I saw it 7.2 from one source, 7.0 from USGS. Earthquake about 80 kilometers deep. Luckily, there's really not a lot out there besides yaks and yurts, so to speak. By the way, CME is incoming. These were small. M class we see here still. But again, the effect on consciousness is, and in the case of what we've gotten from the guides again, immune system boosting energy coming to us from the sun, which is a relay from source, because the natural order is trying to restore balance and harmony upon the planet. And so you might see the KP go up to 5 or 6 over the next maybe 36 hours. At the moment, it's still just a little bit over 3. But it is about consciousness, absolutely. And here you have a quote saying, I guess the dog lied on his resume. Sheep herder? Well, it looks like he's afraid of little sheep.
Mm-hmm. It looks like who's training who here. That's a cutie. But just really quick about the sun flare, I have had reports of people who are feeling either lethargic or maybe even very angry. This has a lot to do with purging, because as we purge those lower densities and we're able to rise up higher and higher, and this can definitely put us in the realm of not being so sick, because it is those bad thoughts and those sad things and those irritants in life that can pull our energy field down, making us sick. So we do have to find ways to release that.
Absolutely. So guys, as always, we want to thank you for being part of the family. Look forward to your comments. May you all be blessed and kept safe in these times. Namaste.
Namaste.